Hi there, Rockets. Welcome to the first of your lessons on the MYP personal project in the 10th grade year. My name is Miss Clarkson, and I'm the MYP coordinator at RM. I'll be helping guide you through the personal project process with the help of your advisory teachers and a supervisor who will be assigned to you later. I'm excited for you to start this process and to see what you create over the course of this year. So let's get started. Today, we will learn about what a personal project is, brainstorm topics for personal projects in small groups or individually, and begin to develop an area of interest for your own project, which you'll be working on throughout this year. At the conclusion of class today and before next week, you'll complete an individual brainstorming exercise, which will help you think about what you want to do for your own project. Did you know that right now, all over the world, 10th grade students at IB schools are working to begin their personal projects? You are one of over 75,000 10th graders working on this project worldwide. And one of the really cool things is that no two students' projects look alike. While we all follow similar process, the projects themselves are as unique as the students who create them. But what exactly is a personal project? The personal project, which is completed in the final year of the MYP, is an opportunity for you to gain new knowledge, understanding, and skills as you investigate a topic of your own interest. You'll plan, research, and develop your project over the course of the next few months, and you'll discuss it at specific points along the way with your supervisor. Ultimately, you'll create a final product or arrive at a final outcome that shows what you've learned, created, or achieved. At the end of the process, you'll compile all of your work into a reflection that tells the story of your project. And then we celebrate your accomplishments at the school exhibition. We don't quite know what that will look like this year, but like everything else, we'll figure it out. At this point, you may wonder, where do we even start with a project like this? This is a fair point. When you could do anything, within reason at least, how do you decide what to do? Now is a good time to ask yourself these questions. What am I really interested in? What would you be happy doing for a few extra hours a week between now and January? What do I hope to make, create, learn, or do this year? Maybe this is something that you've recently developed an interest in, or something that you've always wanted to do. What might I need to do in order for this to be a realistic project? This is an essential point right now. Many things that in other school years would have been possible are now no longer realistic. That doesn't mean you should discard your interest. It just means that it may take some extra creative thinking to work around our current restrictions. Choosing a topic or goal that you're truly interested in is essential to your project's success. Part of the reason for this is that motivation is really difficult right now. It's not easy to get up the motivation to do things we have to do. One thing that does make that easier is choosing something you like to do. Put simply, if you do what you like, you're more likely to like what you actually are doing, and therefore more likely to continue doing it. Another way to help narrow down your project is to think about these 4 criteria. All projects need to be accessible, meaning you can measure your own success. Believable, meaning you can realistically achieve this in the next 5 months or less. Challenging, meaning it's worth your time and effort and isn't something you could complete in one long weekend. And desirable, meaning it's something that you want to do. Well, right now, that last one is probably the most important. The other 3 criteria are important too. For example, while it may be accessible and certainly challenging for me to run a marathon, no matter how desirable it is, if it's not believable that I could achieve that goal in the next 4 months, then it's not a good goal for me. I might need to narrow the goal a bit in order for it to be believable. If I don't run at all, maybe I want to run a 5K in a specific time. Or perhaps if I run a little bit, I could train for my first half marathon. What you choose is up to you, and you'll be encouraged to narrow your topic down at several points in the process. Now is a good time to pause the video and take some time to process that information. When we come back, we'll look at examples of 2 different kinds of projects and then begin brainstorming potential topics of interest. Welcome back. Now that you had a chance to process that information, let's look at some examples of student projects. Generally, projects fall into one of 2 categories. Some are focused on creating a final product, while others are focused on achieving a particular outcome or goal. This first project is the product-based type. The student was interested in eco-friendly design. Ultimately, they set the goal of developing a durable and inexpensive wallet using recycled materials, in this case, used mailing envelopes. After doing research into folding techniques and testing the durability of different materials, they created a wallet out of Tyvek packaging and also created an Instructable in order to show others how to do the same. The second project is the goal or outcome-oriented type. This student wanted to focus on their own personal health and wellness. They wanted to focus on reducing their level of stress and increasing their ability to concentrate through a daily practice of meditation. After doing research into a variety of types of meditation, the students selected a particular practice and then recorded their level of stress in a daily journal. They reflected on that experience in a video, showing the progress that they made along the way. So where do you begin? And what do you do if you have no idea what you want to do? Next week, you'll be working on your project proposal and advisory. But before you get started, we're going to do a bit of brainstorming, first as a group and then individually. The purpose of these activities is to surface lots of ideas in order to help you narrow down what it is that you might be interested in. When you think about the personal project, it's really a process of narrowing things down from broad areas of interest. For example, your love of cooking or soccer, or your passion for rescuing animals, into something that's more specific and actionable. Today, we are in this first phase of the process. So the goal is to air out as many ideas as possible and to think later about what's more realistic. In just a minute, you'll take some time to think about all of the possible ideas for a personal project. To do this, you'll follow a few basic rules of brainstorming called the DOVE method. You can click here to see this resource, which explains in more detail. Essentially, these 4 rules are to, first, defer judgment. Accept all ideas within reason. This means that you should eliminate ideas that are potentially dangerous or illegal, or that can't be achieved between now and February. Offbeat. Go for unusual ideas. Get beyond the obvious or immediate answers and into the weird and interesting options that you might actually want to pursue. Third, come up with a vast number. Come up with as many ideas as you can. You can narrow the number of ideas down later. Finally, expand and elaborate. Build on each other's ideas. If someone has a great idea, then add to it. Think about other options or methods of tackling this topic. Take 10 minutes to come up with as many ideas as you can. Remember, the purpose of this task is to get the ideas out there. Pause the video now and return when you've had a chance to do some brainstorming. Welcome back. Now that you've made an initial list, it's time to look into a few options more deeply. To do this, you'll use the method of narrowing a goal that we discussed earlier in this lesson. Take a moment to open up the brainstorming assignment in your advisory classroom. If you haven't used Google Assignments before, you may need to accept permissions before you can proceed. In just a moment, you'll pause this video to take some time to dig deeper on your topic brainstorm. In this document, which you'll find in your Canvas classroom for advisory, you'll be starting to narrow down your interests in order to focus on your goal. Start by listing out 3 topics that you're potentially interested in and explain why you have this interest. Remember, this project should be something you like to do. Then, in the 4 boxes, you will choose one topic to develop out into a more specific goal using the ABCD criteria. You should start this now, but you have some time before we begin proposals next week. So if you change your mind completely, that's okay. Next week, you'll be working on your project proposals and get an introduction to the personal project Canvas classroom. Between now and then, continue to think about where your interests lie and what you're interested in. This does not need to be your life's passion. It just needs to be something you'd be happy doing for an extra hour or 2 a week between now and February. That's all for this week. I'll see you next week back in your advisory classes to talk about the personal project proposal.